What's up everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to cover a topic that has been the bane of my existence ever since I moved to Italy, and that is the question whether or not I'm going to be moving back to the US, to the United States. For those of you that are new to my channel, hello, my name is Dakota. I moved to Italy in 2020 to attend university here, so I've been living here for about 3 years. I'm originally from Texas, southern United States. And ever since I moved, like I said, everybody is constantly asking me, whether it's people commenting on my videos, friends, family, everybody's always asking, are you going to move back to the US? Are you going to stay in Italy? Are you going to stay in Europe? What are you going to do when you graduate? Where are you going to go? And I've thought about it for a long time. I've put a lot of thought into it. And for a while, there was a period where I thought, okay, maybe there is a chance that I could move back to the US. Maybe there is a chance that me and my girlfriend could relocate and we could go back. I never ever saw myself moving back to Texas specifically. And at the time when I, first thought of that, it wasn't because I disliked Texas for any particular reason. It was just like, I spent 18 years of my life there, more than 18 years of my life there actually, and I just wanted a change of scenery, basically. That has drastically changed recently, and as of now, I can definitively tell you that if I have the option, I will not be moving back to the US. So this video is going to be going over the reasons why I don't feel like I will be moving back to the United States anytime soon, if ever. So if you're anything like me, you're pretty up to date on, the political happenings in the United States and everything like that. You're definitely going to know what I'm about to bring up, but obviously it is the fact that the United States is just not safe anymore for queer people, but more specifically I'm going to be speaking about transgender people because I am transgender, and I just cannot see myself living a safe and protected life if I were to move back to the United States. And that's not to say that there aren't countries out there that are worse, or that Italy itself does not have problems with the transgender community. I'm not going to speak on any of that. This video is going to solely focus on the United States. There has been a lot of anti-transgender legislation, a lot of anti-trans bills being signed into law in the United States, specifically regarding healthcare, access to sports, using the fucking bathroom in public spaces. There's been just a ton of stuff out there recently. There's a user on Twitter that I follow specifically because she is really good about keeping everybody updated, keeping everybody informed. Her name is Erin Reed. I will link her Twitter in the description of this video so you can go check her out and help support her work. She has created 2 maps that she updates regularly. I'm pretty sure it's a monthly update. I'm not 100% sure, but as of right now, it is up to date as of May 2023, and she keeps it updated with all of the anti-trans legislation and all of the states that are either at risk or not at risk for signing any anti-transgender bills or anything like that into law. I have the maps pulled up here on my phone. I'm going to put them on the screen so you guys can read them as well. So this first map that I'm going to show you, it has the key down in the bottom right hand corner of the map here. So the green states are states that have total youth gender affirming care bans that were defeated, or they were passed but they have major exceptions in the bill. So there are some restrictions put in place, but for the most part you can still access healthcare. And when I'm speaking on transgender healthcare here, I'm mainly speaking about gender affirming surgeries or sex reassignment surgeries and HRT, so hormone replacement therapy. Then we see also these yellow states here. Those are states that have had total youth gender affirming care bans stopped in the courts. Then we have the red and the kind of pinkish colors. Those states are going to be states that have total gender affirming care banned, and those bans are active at the moment, or they have total gender affirming care bans still moving within their state legislation. So you can see my home state of Texas is one of those states that unfortunately has total gender affirming care bans active in the state. This map shows the risk for a state to pass anti-trans legislation. Florida is just do not travel. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with anything going on in Florida, you just know that that is the worst place to be right now for a trans person. And then we have red, which is the worst anti-trans laws that are currently active. Again, my home state of Texas is there. Orange, which is states that are of high risk within at least 2 years of passing anti-trans gender legislation. A light blue, which is low risk within 2 years, and then just a darker blue, which is the safest states. And these safe states actually have protections in place for transgender people. These are states where gender affirming care is protected by law. So yeah, it's just really insane to me right now, the amount of anti-transgender legislation and anti-transgender rhetoric, even just in the general public. There was a report from the Williams Institute published recently, and I will link it in the description if you're interested in reading it, that said that transgender people are 4 times more likely to be victims of violent crime than cisgender people are. Like, it's not safe, not only for trans people, but for queer people as well. I cannot see myself living somewhere where I would have to constantly fear for my safety just because of my gender identity. But even with, just like I said, all of this transgender healthcare aside, nowadays, even if you have insurance, you're still going to be paying out the ass for medications, for hospital visits, for God forbid a trip to the ER in an ambulance. You know, I did some research and I found out that the average hospital stay for a person is 4.5 days. We'll say 4.5 to be safe. The average cost of spending 4.5 days in a hospital in the United States is over $13,000. It's approximately $13,262 US dollars. That is a lot of fucking money. That's more money than I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, I would go broke for less than a week's stay in a hospital. Speaking of healthcare that is not gender transition related, I still have the possibility, even if it is low, to become pregnant. So God forbid that were to ever happen, because that's not something that I ever foresee for myself. If I were to ever become pregnant in my home state of Texas, I would not be able to get an abortion. There are 24 states that have a complete ban on abortions since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It is just absolutely impossible for anybody to get the healthcare that they need, the healthcare that they have a constitutional right to. As somebody who is from a southern state, as somebody who has seen firsthand like just how crazy conservatives in America can be, I do not feel safe. I'm gonna talk now about a topic that might be a little bit distressing to some of you guys. So I'm gonna be speaking about gun violence specifically, just a content warning here, or a trigger warning, just be mindful. So as of the 7th of May in 2023, there have been 202 mass shootings in the United States alone. That's almost 41 shootings every month. That roughly equates to more than 1 mass shooting per week in the United States. My home state of Texas has the 2nd highest rate of mass shootings in the United States for this year alone. This year alone, mind you. Again, we're only in the 5th month of this whole year, and Texas is the 2nd ranked state for mass shootings. And just recently, the Texas legislature failed to pass House Bill 2744. House Bill 2744 would have raised the age requirement from 18 to 21 for buying a semi-automatic rifle, which is the gun most used in mass shootings. That doesn't mean that people younger than 18 can't buy or acquire a firearm in the United States. You don't need a permit or a license or anything like that to purchase a firearm or to acquire a gun. There are so many avenues in the United States for young people to get their hands on military-grade weapons. And I don't mean to say young people exclusively, it's everybody. Anybody can just go out. They could go to a gun show in rural Texas. I've been to those before. I've been to a lot of gun shows in my life. We used to go to gun shows with my grandparents all the time when we were younger. I've seen how it works. You don't get asked, oh, can I see your gun license? Can I see your permit to carry? And it's so fucking easy to become an armed person in the United States. I personally cannot live somewhere where I am constantly fearing that I will die from a mass shooting, or that I will be shot for something as simple as cutting somebody off on accident in the roadway, or flipping somebody off because they cut me off. They could shoot me. And the thing is, a lot of states also don't even require you to like conceal your firearm. There are so many states out there that allow people to open carry their firearms. Like, people are just walking around. I know you've seen these memes, these funny pictures online of people in fucking Walmart with AR-15s strapped to their back, but those are real people, and it's becoming more and more common for people to just flaunt the fact that they're armed. One minor thing is gonna happen that just sets one of those people off, and they're gonna start shooting. I'm getting anxious just thinking about it. It's just not the type of environment that I personally want to live in. And the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is just I hate when I hear people say, and I mainly hear this from conservatives or centrists in the United States, where they're like, oh, well, if you hate it so much in Texas, just move to California, or move to New York, or move to one of those liberal states, or if you hate the United States so much, just leave the United States. I hate hearing that, because for a lot of people, that is an unattainable goal. I am very, very fortunate that I was able to move abroad, and I was able to establish a life here, even if it is only for university at this point. I'm very, very lucky and very, very privileged to be able to have escaped the United States. There are a lot of people that I know and that I have spoken to who want to do that, who want to either move states or move out of the US entirely, but they cannot. For example, let's take California, right? California is one of the most liberal states, if not the most liberal state. Those safe and liberal states are often the most expensive states to live in. People just cannot afford it. People cannot afford to escape. They cannot afford to flee for their safety. I read a study that said cities like Los Angeles, Berkeley, and I believe it was San Diego as well, the three of the largest cities in California. A single person, so a single income household, you have to be making at least $76,000 a year to be living comfortably in those cities in California. Comfortably is a very subjective term, but from what I understood from this article, we're talking about a one-bedroom apartment with basic amenities, a car, health insurance, things like that. Like literally the bare fucking minimum to have an acceptable lifestyle where you're feeling comfortable and you can afford to feed yourself and to keep the lights on in your home. The average American worker only brings home $54,000 a year. You need $76,000 to live comfortably, and you're only bringing home $54,000 a year. Grocery prices have gone up. Gas prices have gone up. The cost of living has gone up. You cannot find a decent apartment for under $1,000 in any of those states. Trust me, I've looked. When I was considering moving back to the United States, my girlfriend and I were looking at apartments in California, in Oregon, in Washington, in Vermont, in New York. None of these places were affordable for us. They're all easily $1,500 or more for a one bedroom, one bath. I wouldn't even say bigger than the apartment we have right now. Our apartment right now is 35 square meters, and we cannot find an apartment in the US bigger than the apartment we have now for less than, I would say, $1,000 to $1,500. That cost of moving from one state to another is nowhere near the cost that it would take to relocate. Let's say a family of 3 abroad is even more expensive. When I moved to Italy, I had to pay, I would say, I have a whole video about this and it was a long time ago, so my numbers may be a bit off here, but I paid easily $300 just for the visa process and getting my student visa and then getting my permesso di soggiorno, like my permit to stay in Italy. That does not include the cost of the flights, like just the ticket here, the cost of finding an apartment here, putting down, you know, the deposit, the security deposit. Oh, there's so much shit. Like I easily spent at least, I want to say, between $2,000 to $3,000 just moving here and getting settled here and finding my own apartment in Italy. There's just too many factors that go against moving back to the United States. I personally just cannot see myself moving back there. And that honestly hurts to say, because I left all of my friends, I left my family in the United States. I started literally from scratch in Italy, and I would still choose that again over having to move back to the United States. That may change in the near future. Hopefully the United States starts to make a turn for the better. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this video. Thank you, if you're still watching at this point, for listening to me ramble about this. I really appreciate you guys being here and supporting me through all of this. I do encourage you to go out there and do your own research, just to form your own opinions on everything that's going on. But yeah, that's all that I have to say in this video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see y'all in the next one.